One stock market index hits a new all-time high. Buckle up. Investor Beat starts now. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Hill. All lights were green on Wall Street with the Dow, Nasdaq, and S&P 500 all rising today. But the big story was north of the border in Canada, where all eyes were on the Halifax Stock Exchange. The most widely followed index in Canada, the Gillies 100, made history when it rose 4.1% and hit a brand new all-time high. Joining me in studio today, Tim Hanson and Charly Travers. Tim, emerging markets in 2013, terrible year. Obviously, Canada, not an emerging market per se, but when you look at what's happening in Canada, is that a signal of things to come in 2014?
You know, I think this bodes well for markets in 2014. 2013 was a really rocky year for markets who have currencies that have animals on them. And Canada, as everybody knows, ducks are on the currency. I think this reversal of a trend is going to mean really good things for other countries who have animals on their currency.
Charly, part of what we're seeing up in Canada today are the mother of all IPOs. And typically we say, look, stay away from IPOs, but I'm wondering, as we see this type of thing happening, should we be rethinking that?
I do think you have to rethink it in this case, Chris. Normally I do say stay away from IPOs. I tend to like to see companies get a couple quarters under their belt as a public company just because the pressures on quarterly earnings are so much greater than when they're private. But biotech is an industry of innovation, and if you look at the Nasdaq Biotech Index over the last 5 years, it's up 250%. That's more than double the returns of the S&P. So risk-averse investors have really left a lot of money on the table. I think I wouldn't say indiscriminately buy the biotechs, but do give them a look.
All right, let's get to some of the day's movers and shakers. Zygletics on the rise after landing another government contract. The manufacturer of linked sewage disposal systems started 20 years ago with its patented Zyglopots in the nation of Chad and is methodically expanding its business throughout Asia and Africa. Are we seeing sort of the international version of American waterworks here?
You know, the thing about Zygletics is that they haven't actually made any money yet. But having said that, I looked this up. Turns out that Asia and Africa are pretty large places, and on a price to like addressable acreage basis, I think this one looks pretty good.
All right, Emerang, the famously short-lived IPO from the late 90s, is back in the public markets after years in private equity. The online dessert company went public and quickly announced a 3-for-1 stock split. More history being made as Emerang was added to the Gillies 100 in the middle of the trading day. Talk about IPOs. I mean, we saw it here in the U.S. with Grubhub. When you look at food delivery, does this interest you?
It does, Chris. And in this case, being outside of the public eye for 15 years really allowed Emerang to sort out its business model. They're going to follow in the steps of companies like Starbucks, Buffalo Wild Wings, Chipotle, that had that niche food item at a good price point that, you know, consumers just flock to. Except they made the realization that building out retail stores and just blanketing the country is too expensive. It costs billions of dollars to build thousands of stores. They're just going to go with an online dessert delivery model where they can use local distribution centers and keep their costs down. I think they're going to make it.
Roman Financial Services up big after fourth quarter profits came in higher than expected. After starting in the stock newsletter industry, founder CEO Joey Roman has expanded the business to include investment banking and mortgage lending. We love the founder-led companies. Is this sort of a Charles Schwab for the 21st century?
It's not, Chris, but you know, a lot of people in this space look for companies that put up some sort of sustainable growth, and I think that's short-sighted. I think what we want to do when we're looking at Roman Financial is say, look, this is completely unsustainable growth, but if I can get out at the top, I'm going to make a lot of money, and I think that's the way you want to look at this one, and I also think it's a Facebook acquisition target.
And finally, McCloskey Holdings hitting a new all-time high. The holding company that some on Wall Street are calling the next baby Berkshire engages in everything from credit cards to auto repair to state lottery franchises. We talk about Markel, and you're investing in Markel. You're investing in Tom Gaynor,
That's right.
The chief investment officer. McCloskey, you're investing in Larry McCloskey, the founder, the CEO, the chief investment officer. The guy does everything.
He does, Chris. McCloskey took this company over after Black Monday in 1987. They delivered 19% annualized returns, which is just shy of what Warren Buffett has done with Berkshire Hathaway. They started out in auto repair, really a terrible business, but what is the crown jewel of this portfolio is the state lottery business. These are small, frequent purchases. People buy them in all economic environments. Surprisingly, even during recessions, people are buying lottery tickets in the hopes of better things to come. McCloskey's a long-term winner.
All right, that's going to do it for today's action. Let's look ahead to the rest of the week. Give me a stock I can put on my watch list.
Wonder Pants. People may remember this one from a couple years ago, and it was a small domestic growth story. What's really excited this week is we want to see how well they're expanding internationally with their new products, Wunderhosen and Pantalones Increíble. Should be an interesting one to watch.
All right, Charlie, what about you?
Carson Industries. They are just launching their product called the Home Gnome. This puts them at the intersection of artificial intelligence and robotics. Everyone wants a clean house. No one wants to clean their house. So what they have is a 2-foot-tall robotic gnome who just wanders around and tidies things up for you.
All right, for Charlie Travers and Tim Hanson, I'm Chris Hill. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.